Alright, so sometimes you have a feeling, like a feeling, that you couldn't explain because nothing happened yet. There is no evidence, because nobody warned you. But something inside your heart whispered to you that, you know what, pay attention to this. Something is actually changing. Alright? Something is changing. This is not meant for you anymore. This chapter is coming to an end. And maybe you try to ignore it, right? Maybe you told to yourself that, you know what, I'm just overthinking, like I'm being too emotional and all. Like I am imagining things, alright? Because I am so delulu. Like, because sometimes we don't trust ourselves. We trust what people say. We trust what we see. We trust outside opinions more than the quiet voice inside our own soul. But today I want to remind you of something. Your intuition is not random. That that little feelings inside you, that inner knowing, that moment where your heart understands something before your mind does, like sometimes that is the like the universe actually guiding you, sometimes that it is a god protecting you, sometimes that is your higher self trying to lead you to the life that you're meant to create, and maybe recently life has been showing you signs that your intuition was actually right all along. By the way, my name is Aries, and thank you so much for clicking today's video, and I truly appreciate it. Alright, my besties, welcome back, girls, boys. Okay, so I know that I'm kind of whispering right now because I don't talk too loud today, because I do not have much voice, because my throat is a bit dry today. Hopefully I can make it today. So okay, so I'm gonna talk closer to the camera, I guess. So you see, wait, let me just pause. Okay, sometimes, you know what, your soul actually knows before your reality even shows it. Because one of the most beautiful things about intuitions is that it often arrives before your reality changes. Before you see the opportunity, you feel yourself becoming ready to receive it. Before you meet the right people, sometimes like you start releasing the wrong connections, before your life transforms, you start feeling uncomfortable with the old version of yourself, right? Have you ever noticed that? Because the things that you used to tolerate suddenly become unbearable, Because the conversation that used to excite you suddenly feel empty, and the places where you used to belong suddenly feel like they no longer fit. And you wonder to yourself that, oh, why am I feeling this way, Why am I changing, Why don't I feel connected to the things that, I used to love, Because sometimes your soul outgrows a place before your life physically leaves it. You get it? Okay. So sometimes your spirit knows you are ready for a new chapter before your circumstances basically catch up. It is like a wearing clothes that no longer fit. The clothes are not necessarily bad, right? They were just meant for an older version of you, right? And maybe that is what is happening right now. Maybe you are not lost. Maybe you are just transforming, because you see, the universe, removes what no longer aligns to you and your purpose. Sometimes we ask that, oh, why did this person leave? Why did this opportunity just disappear? Why did everything fall apart when I thought things were like finally working? But you see, what if it was not a rejection? What if it was a redirection. Because sometimes the universe has to remove things from your life because they are actually blocking the person that you were supposed to become. Okay, so a door closes because another door is waiting. Okay, because a relationship ends because you are learning your worth. A plan changes because there is something more aligned with your purpose. And I know when you are in the middle of it, it does not feel like it is a blessing. It's not. It feels painful. It feels unfair. It feels confusing because we humans, naturally fear endings. Because we think that if I lose this, I lose everything. Yeah. But sometimes losing something is actually how you find yourself again. Sometimes the things that, like you were desperately holding onto was the very thing preventing you from receiving what was meant for you. Your intuitions is a gift, not a weakness. Many sensitive people spend their life like thinking something is wrong with them, like they think that why do I feel things so deeply, why do I notice small changes, why can't I sense when something feels different? But your sensitivity is not a weakness. It's like your ability to feel deeply is actually a gift. Alright? Because your intuition is basically a connection like between your heart, your experiences, and your inner wisdom. Okay? It helps you recognize things that your eyes cannot always see it, right? Sometimes you can feel someone's energy before they reveal their intentions. Sometimes you can sense when something is no longer aligned, right? Sometimes your body knows before your mind accepts it. Okay. That feeling of heaviness, that feeling of exhaustion, the feeling that something is not right. Pay attention. Your body is constantly communicating with you. Your soul is constantly guiding you, but you have to become quiet enough to listen. Because there is the difference between fear and, intuitions. But there is something important we need to understand. Not every thought is intuition. Sometimes it is a fear, right? Fear creates anxiety. Fear makes you question your worth. Fear makes you assume the worst. Fear says that, oh, what if I fail? What if I'm not enough? What if nobody chooses me? But intuition feels different. Intuition feels calm, gentle. It does not create panic. It creates awareness. Fear says that run because something bad might happen. Intuition says pay attention because something needs your awareness. Fear comes from wounds. Intuition comes from wisdom. And healing yourself means learning the difference. Because sometimes trauma can make us afraid of things that are actually good for us. And sometimes our intuitions protects us from things that are not meant for us. Okay, the more that you heal, the clearer your inner voice becomes. Okay. So stop asking for external validations. Wait. So yeah, that's all. So maybe you are actually waiting for someone to tell you that you are making the right choices. You should follow this dream, You are allowed to move on. You are allowed to become someone new. You're just waiting for those words and all. But sometimes the person that you are waiting for is actually yourself, because you have to give yourself permission to grow, permission to leave, permission to start again, permission to trust the path that you're actually walking, because not everyone will understand your transformations. Some people only recognize you by who you used to be. They are comfortable with the old version of you, but you were never created to stay the same forever, right? Because sometimes growth requires change, and healing requires release. Becoming your highest self requires courage. Okay, because you see, sometimes people think that signs, signs have to be something so dramatic, like a miracle suddenly happen, a huge moment. But you see, often the universe speaks quietly. It looks like, oh, you are basically finally choosing yourself. You no longer chasing people who don't choose you. You feeling peaceful after letting go all the toxic shit. You finding opportunities that feels natural. You meeting people who actually basically match your energy, right? So you waking up and realizing that I don't want the old life. I do not want to live my old life anymore. I want something deeper. Okay, I want something more meaningful. Alignment does not always feel exciting, right? So sometimes alignment feels peaceful, and the right path feels quiet because chaos is familiar to many people. But peace can feel, strange sometimes when you're used to surviving sometimes. Yeah, so I'm just gonna wrap this up quickly because I need to get my dinner. Girl. So yeah, so if you have been feeling something lately, a shift, like a change or a calling, like a desire to become someone new, do not ignore it. Maybe it is not just a random feeling. Maybe it is a sign that you are actually entering a new season, a new chapter. Maybe the universe is actually confirming what your heart already knew, your purpose, maybe God has been guiding you through every closed door, every difficult lesson, and every moment that you thought that you were lost. You're not lost. You are actually being redirected, and you are not behind. You are just being prepared. You are not becoming someone else. You are actually returning to yourself, your old self, your true self, not your old self, your truest self. Trust the quiet voice inside you. Trust your healing. Trust your growth. Trust that everything living your life is actually creating space for something much more better and greater. Because one day you will basically look back and say that, oh, I finally understand now why did I face all of that. I understand why I had to lose them. I understand why I had to wait, and I understand why my intuition was actually trying to guide me to where, because your soul often knows the way before your eyes can even see it. Bam. Trust yourself. Trust your journey. Trust that what is meant for you will never require you to abandon yourself. Okay? Because you see, your intuition was never trying to scare you. It was trying to basically lead you to home. Because your intuition, remember, it's actually the language of your soul. Okay. Trust the signs, trust your healing, and don't forget this is the most important. Trust yourself. Okay? That's all, and thank you so much for watching until the end and listening to me. Thank you, besties. Hope you guys have a great day today and sleep peacefully. Bye bye.